Hello and welcome. Let's talk about cryptos. But first, let's take a look in the S&P that is still wearing a very bright yellow light. Let's take a look and see why. And then I'm going to show you my analysis on Bitcoin and also 12 cryptos that we're keeping an eye on. Starting with the S&P. Well, so far it's been a long time. I think this upward movement is going to be reversed, but instead the market broke its all-time high, but then it started to drift up, which means an exhaustion of this upward movement, and so far it's been confirmed, but the market reversed. So we still have to see if the market is coming down for a pullback, and if it comes to a pullback, we have to see whether it will bounce back and then produce a pivot point, and if that happens, if the market comes down, holds in support in previous resistance, now support, then goes up and breaks these former resistance, then that's going to be an indication that a more meaningful upward movement is taking place. But if, in the other hand, the market comes down, tests support and breaks support, then we're going to have the second bull trap, and that's going to be very bearish. So far, for the moment, the market looks as if it's just filling this gap here. And that's because when you look at the Nasdaq, that's the same thing. This is a bearish candle. It's called Hanging Man. And in the Dow, it has barely came back to this former support that offered resistance. So we have to see. The Dow Jones is closer to producing a bull trap. If the low of Tuesday is broken, then market would be producing this bull trap. One thing that keeps the not the red yet, but the yellow light very lit is that the transportation index is not falling by any means the S&P. Transportation is a very important index that indicates that the economy is going well, because whenever you have an expansion, economic expansion, you should expect the transportation to improve, because the goods have to be transported all over the world, and especially in America. So whenever that index is showing the opposite that the S&P is showing, you have to be in alert. So my recommendation remains, if you're in the stock markets, I would recommend you to still to keep out of the markets, variable income markets, and wait, because I think the moment is very delicate, and the chance that there's a real chance that anytime the market could start correcting this upward movement, and it's not little. The market is, let's take a look. This is the top previous to the subprime, and I'm showing you a chart deflated, means that we taken inflation out. The market is 60% above this top that happened before the subprime crisis, which is this one here. So whenever this upward movement gets reversed, we should expect a Fibonacci correction, and a Fibonacci correction, as I showed many times here in the channel, would be a correction of approximately 40%. exactly 40% from where the prices are now. And that would bring recession, undoubtedly, not only to the US, but to Europe, to Asia, to South America, to all the world. And if that happens, if we have, by chance, a bull trap now in the S&P, I keep saying on the S&P, about the S&P, because he, as I understand, is the one that commands the world. So if that happens, markets could come down very quickly. And if you're in, it's very hard for you to get out. So that's why I recommend you to stay out of the market in this delicate moment. If eventually it produces a pivot point, if it breaks the last high, then okay, then get in the market again. Just for you to have an idea, let me show you here from where we are now to the last top. Oh, you're very near. We are very near. It's just 1.3%. And from the top to the from the previous top, all times high, until this new top, we have only 4.4%. So for a market that rose like 270% or without inflation, or 350% with inflation, it's just nothing. I mean, it's it pays to wait to see what's going to happen in this very delicate moment. So that's it. Let's move on to the cryptos, and starting with Bitcoin. Sorry about that. Now, first, the on the weekly chart of Bitcoin, you can see that nothing's changed so far. This is a corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave. I have a lot of evidence that this was a corrective wave, and so I have to think that we're starting an upward movement, and this is going to be, and well, why? First of all, go into the daily chart. Why do I think this was a corrective movement? I've said all the times here in the channel, but this is an impulsive wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A descending triangle, by definition, is a corrective wave, and this is an impulsive wave. Then we have these head and shoulders here, inverted head and shoulders, and then the market started to go up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's an impulsive wave that makes me think we're looking at wave 1 of the new upward long-term upward movement. Wave 1, and then we have wave 2. So we were able to draw this channel in wave 2. Look at this resistance trend line. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches already in this line. And then we pulled this parallel line here, and which is the guideline for the channel. And what happened was that the market just reversed over here, and now I think it is just flagging up, and it's, I would say, almost ready to go. If we go to the hourly chart, we can see that it is testing this resistance trend line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 touches in the line, and this correction that we had this last week, I think, was just a pullback for this former neckline, the neckline of the reversal that we had, that was, as I understand, a inverted head and shoulders. That projects, by the way, these head and shoulders projects 8,200, and we'll be able to call it a inverted head and shoulders if it reaches this level. But I think that if the market breaks this resistance trend line, it will also break, and very quickly, the resistance trend line of wave 2. And then we will be heading to wave 3. Actually, I think wave 3 has already started here. How long can wave 3 go? Well, we have to project from here, or from here, wave 1. That's what we got, right? So if the market has bottomed over here, then we should expect wave 3 to take us to $28,000-$29,000. And then what? Well, it could go much higher, wave 3, because we're still resenting the downward trend that we had all over 2018, and this last downward trend that we had since July. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months of downtrend already. So whenever wave 3 starts, it could take us higher than $28,000, and that we can see in the weekly chart. Thinking about where can Bitcoin go, as I also said all the times here in the channel, the only thing we can do is ask what Bitcoin has done in the past and compare. So if it just repeats the last portion of what I'm calling wave 3, then we're heading to $60,000, $70,000. If we repeat the last upward movement, we're heading to $300,000. And if we repeat before the last upward movement, we're heading to $700,000. So anyway, it's a lot of thousands of dollars. So yes, I think it's a very good time for you to think on buying Bitcoin. It's just like the tree. When is the best time for you to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the next best time? Today. So I think that's what's happening with Bitcoin. Whoever has a capital, I think, should seriously consider in having 5 or 10% of its capital invested in Bitcoin. So now let's take a look in the cryptos that we think might outperform Bitcoin. So sorry about that. Where are they? Here they are. These are 2 recommendations we made today, and that's the first one. Yeah, Binance Coin, because it went up when it was launched by 1,700% almost in Bitcoin, and then it corrected, and then another 1,000%, and then it went sideways. But this sideways movement is respecting this support trend line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touches already in this line. And now I think I'm seeing the market do a round bottom, which is something that occurs. So we're keeping an eye for that reason. And besides, we have this resistance trend line here, and we think the market just made a pullback for it. So we're expecting it to go upward in Bitcoin terms. Cardano has bottomed, broke its all-time low, and then went sideways, and is now testing this former support, which is now offering resistance in a way that if it breaks it, then this whole accumulation will be an indication of a bear trap. And then I think it will at least touch its resistance trend line, which would mean about 50% upward movement. Now, Link has gone sideways since it was launched. Then it broke up, broke down, and then it went into a upward movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then a correction, A, B, C, as I see it, of course. And then it's now testing its last stop, the resistance of its last stop, which is very meaningful now, in what I think is going to be called a rectangle. But today it tried to break this rectangle, but it's leaving a big shadow now. So if we have a reversal over here, that would reaffirm this as a continuation pattern, a rectangle, and that would be as I understand, a very good time for us to purchase it. If we look at the hourly chart, we see that it came down, it went up again, and apparently, I suppose it's flagging up. So this may be a very interesting chance for one to buy Link into its portfolio. And Gene, well, it didn't give us any clues that it was going up, except for the fact that even though, because it produced a bull trap here, but the bull trap just sent the markets back. I don't know, something must have happened in this chain that it went up like hell. So we're expecting it to give us a chance to enter, because if we draw Fibonacci from there, yeah, it just reached first Fibonacci correction level. Maybe it will go sideways here, doing an upward flag, and then we can enter again. And then, yes, we can enter. EOS, well, it broke this resistance trend line and makes us think that this could be a bottom, even though because it came back and found support in the former resistance trend line. So this could be just a pullback. And well, if the market breaks this resistance level, then I will be considering this as a bottom, and bottom that would project this objective of 60,000 satoshis, which would mean if we manage to grab the market over here, to catch the market over here, it would mean, well, 21%. But EOS is one of the most important cryptos, and no, I didn't say it correctly. It wouldn't go here, it would go here, right? So that would mean it's 50% upward movement. Better, isn't it? Ethereum, poor Ethereum, it's in its downtrend. If it breaks this level, I think, well, if it breaks, first thing, it has to break the line, the resistance trend line, long-term resistance trend line. It comes from the beginning of 2018. If it breaks the line, then we have to see that it will also break this resistance trend level, resistance level here at 0.0216 satoshis. Oh, no, sorry, 0.0216 Bitcoin, and then it could eventually give us a upward indication. In its defense, there is a possibility that we're seeing after the market has breaking this resistance trend level, this sideways movement might be a rectangle, or yeah, would be a rectangle eventually. So anyway, we have to keep a look in this resistance trend line, which is the most important thing for the moment. EOS token broke this resistance trend level and is accumulating in what I think is a rectangle, but we would have to buy it. Yeah, even though because it tested the resistance level and then it looks as if it's flagging up. So the idea is to keep an eye in the hourly chart and see whenever it indicates, gives a good indication. Like for instance, if it keeps coming down and flags up and then breaks this flag, well, then this is an indication that the market is going, because it broke this, not this trend in the hourly chart, but this flag in the daily chart. And whenever you have a flag, you have to enter whenever the market breaks the flag. The idea is for you to wait for the market to break the flag and then put your long position and put your stop below the flag. The flags are very good to hold your stop. You can rely on flags because they're tough girls. They resist the market whenever it decides to come down. An upward flag will resist if the market decides to, you know, just come down a little bit more, and it will, if it's going up, it will resist in the support generally, of course, in the support of the upward flag. So, but there are flags and flags. A flag that occurs within a sideways movement, it's not important. The best flags are those that happen after a break away from a important resistance, for instance, and then the market rallies up and then flags up. That's the good flag. Now, here what we've seen is a flag when the market tests a resistance level of a rectangle. So if I was to write a comment about why we would buy here, I would say upward flag in the breaking of the resistance of a rectangle. That's it. After the market have breaking a resistance, a medium-term resistance trend line. So keeping an eye on I was talking for that. Now Litecoin, we're keeping an eye because actually we recommended a short position in Litecoin today because we think this is clearly a descending triangle, projects 0.00465, which would be a downward movement of around 23%. So as we're recommending long and buy for those cryptos traded in BitMEX. Actually, if you're interested in trading futures in BitMEX, please use the link below. Also, if you're trading in Binance, we also have a link. And if you're here in Brazil and want to switch your Bitcoins for reais and also trade other cryptos, Novadax is the way to go. A very good broker that I'm using here in Brazil. So this is it. Very bearish I am for Litecoin at the moment. Next one is Matic, that just went up and has now reached its all-time high, and we're waiting to see what's going to happen. Ripple is accumulating in what I think is going to be either a descending triangle or a rectangle, whatever you feel like calling it. But I think this is a continuation pattern. It will continue the previous downward movement, breaking the support that has been found here at 2,900 satoshis. And is that it? Yeah, 2,900 satoshis. And then coming down to these lows here, testing again these lows. So we're bearish in Ripple. And Tron, I think it's, yeah, finally Tron, that broke this resistance trend line and it's going sideways. So we're watching this because we think this could be a rectangle. It resembles a rectangle over here. And of course, if it breaks the support, it won't be a rectangle anymore. It will be in a downward movement, short term at least, downward movement. But if we have a reversal over here, then I would consider very, very much the possibility of putting it on our portfolio. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching the video. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Tell your friends about our channel, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.